Hi, good morning. In today's session, we're going to see one of the Snowflake functions called as data generation. The topic today is data generation. In data generation, we're going to see one subtopic called generator. This generator, it will create a rows of data. It will create a synthetic data. I already said, right? If system is giving some data, that data will be a synthetic data. It will be very accurate data. That's what the generator function will do. The generator function, it will create a row of data based on the specified number of rows. If you give 50, right? 50 rows will be created. It will system will generate the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 up to 50. That data is called the synthetic data. The generator function, it creates a rows of data based on the specified number of rows. How much of rows is specific, right? That many rows it will get created. It will generate the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like this using generator function. It's very popular nowadays. Generator function is very popular nowadays. Okay. Mostly we have to use the system defined table function. Whenever creating table, right, you can't generate the data. Okay, like the already system defined table function will be there. In that you can able to generate the synthetic data, synthetic row generation we can do. Synthetic means already said, right? It's a system generated data as per the limits you are passing to that function. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a virtual table. I'm going to create a virtual table. Satish, for creating virtual table, what's the command we have to use?
So create table.
I'm asking not for creating virtual table. For creating virtual table, we have to use some keyword, right? What's the keyword? What is the keyword I'm asking to you? For creating a virtual table, what's that keyword we'll use? Okay, you think for a while. Now, what I have to do is to generate a virtual table with 0 columns, but possibly many rows. I want to create one column, but many rows I want to create. For that, I'm going to create a virtual table, and then I'm going to use select class. It's going to, in the select class, I'm going to use the data generation functions. Now, it's very simple, guys. I have to use a syntax called generator. You have to specify the two arguments. One is a row count, another one is time limit. In the row count, you will specify the count. For example, if I mentioned 100, how many rows will be created?
100 rows.
100 rows will be created. The time limit, I want to give the seconds. If I give 10 seconds, in the 10 seconds, how many rows the system can able to create? That many rows will be created. Now, I'm giving 10,000 here. Here, time limit giving 3 seconds. In 3 seconds, just think like 400 rows will be created. Now, what the row count are given here? Shweta Priya. Time limit given 3 seconds. What is the row count given here?
100, sir.
What? Few minutes back I said this thing to you. What's the row count now?
10,000.
10,000. But the time limit are giving 3 seconds. 3 seconds, how many rows it can create for a particular window, time window, that many rows will be created with generator function. Though you specify 10,000, but time limit is 3 seconds. In 3 seconds, how many data this generator function able to create? That much record count will be get created. You might have a question. I get 10,000. Why it's not getting 10,000 for me? But you are specified the
Seconds, sir.
time limit
Time limit.
for the generator function. I given 3 seconds. The 3 seconds window duration. How many records it can be able to create? That much records it can be able to create. Now, same function. I am not providing the row count. I am providing the time limit. I am going to give like 5 seconds. In 5 seconds, how many data record count it can able to create? The general function can able to create. Okay. After the time window elapsed, right? It won't create any records. It won't create any additional records. That's why we are providing the time limit. Now, you have seen the syntax, right? Generator syntax. What are the arguments you have to pass? What are the arguments you have to pass?
Sir, row count and time limits.
Time limit, and then you can say the time limit as well. Instead of row count, we can pass the time limit as well. Now, they're given some usage nodes. Okay, they are given some valid points as well. If the row argument is specified, see, they are saying that only I pass the row count argument. I am giving 20,000 without giving time limit. What will happen? Row count is 20,000 without time limit. What will happen?
Sir, it will generate all the
20,000 rows will be generated. That's what I'm saying. Okay, this count and second should be a positive value. You should not supply any negative values in count as well as in seconds. That's what they're saying. It should be a non-negative integer constants. Now, if the time limit is specified, now third case, the time limit specified is 5 seconds, but the row count is 20,000. It depends on your system clock speed. CPU will be there, right? CPU has a clock speed. Okay, clock speed, and then in terms of every processor will have in terms of clock frequency range like gigahertz. Gigahertz will be there. GHz, gigahertz will be there. Based on the gigahertz clock frequency range, it will generate those data. If the clock frequency is very higher, it will generate the data more. If it is very less, it will generate the less data. That's what the time limit is saying is, if you're giving 5 seconds window duration, it will generate the record count for you. That's what they mentioned is, time document specified, the query runs for us against generating as many rows as possible within the time frame. Okay. Yeah, good. Now, fourth case is, if both row count and time limit is specified, what will happen, right? The row count is reached before the time limit. Now that two cases are there. If the row count is reached before the time limit, what will happen? Satish, Sandamal, and Sujita Priya. There are two cases are there. I'm giving the time of 10 seconds. Row count is I'm giving 100. Before 10 seconds, the row count is reached 100. What is going to happen? I'm giving row count is 100. Time limit is 2 seconds. If the row count not able to generate 100 records, what's going to happen? Because time limit is 2 seconds. These are two cases we have to see. The first case is, if the row count is reached before the time limit. Before time limit means, instead of 10 seconds, it's completing the work in 5 seconds. If it is completed 5 seconds, the entire records will be generated. The resulting table contains the count rows. Now, second case, time limit is reached, but still it's not generating the records within the time frame. What will happen, right? At the time frame, what are the records generated, that records will be shown. Even though you are given the row count as 20,000, 30,000, it won't give the entire records. In the time frame, how many records it can be able to generate, your CPU clock speed, based on the clock speed, how many rows it can generate, then that much records you can able to see. That's the two cases we can see. So you understood, right? Row count is reached before time limit. If time limit is reached before row count, what's going to happen? Okay.
Okay.
If a row count is reached, nothing going to happen. It's going to give all the rows. If time limit is reached, right, it's going to give at the particular time how many records it can able to generate. That records will be shown. That's why it depends on the system speed. System speed depends on the clock frequency. I mean the CPU. If it is more frequency, right, clock frequency, there, if it's very high frequency, it's going to do the work very faster. And then the last case is going to be, if row count is null and time limit is null, okay, it's not going to generate any records. Row count equals 0, time limit equals 0. It's not going to generate any records. Okay. Just you have to keep everything in the mind. That's what the saying is. If it is null, it's not going to generate any records. 0 rows will be created. If it is 0, row count 0, time at 0, it should not going to generate any records. And then the time limit row count should not have a negative value, should have a only positive integer. And then now we're going to see there are various projection classes we have. Projection classes in the generator function. The first one we're going to see is the function called sequence function. This sequence function is going to generate the sequential synthetic data. Sequential synthetic data, but it needs the generator function. Okay. Now, this sequence function is going to generate content of rows, but it will maintain a unique sequence. It will maintain the unique sequence without gaps. Now, in this sequence, we have some bugs. What they're saying is, if I giving 100, my offset value is 100, it has to generate 1 to 100 records. But there should not be any gap. Do you know what is a gap? Guys, if it is generating 1 to 100, there should not be any gap. Do you know what is the gap?
Sir, whether any
Without
numbers
skipping numbers.
Without skipping the numbers, it has to generate synthetic data. But all the sequence functions won't produce sequence without gap. What the saying is, they are talking about a sequence function. We have different sequence functions we have. Sequence 4, sequence 8, sequence 12. Going to show now. You can see, right? Sequence 1, 2, 4, 8. They are saying that not all valid functions produce sequence with gap. There are some kind of gaps will be in the sequences. I'm saying that there's a sequence function, but they have a different versions. We have 1, 2, 4, and 8, but it will produce some gaps in the data. And then the last function you want to see is row number. You already know row number, right? It will generate a sequence of data, but this row number, it's not going to produce any gaps. Satish, do you know what is gaps, right? Right?
Yes,
the row number is not going to produce any gaps. If you give the offset value something 100 to 2000 or 3000, it's going to generate from the value initially to maximum value. Initial value to maximum value it's going to give. Okay, without gaps. But if you are using any sequences, definitely we can't assure that there won't be any gaps. Definitely some gaps will be there. Now, I'm going to show a few things about we're going to use projection classes. These are the projection classes. One is sequence. I will show the projection classes. Like I think it's not here. Just once again. Yeah, here also not there. Okay. Projection classes are sequence 4 functions, sequence 2, sequence 1, and uniform. These are called the projection classes. This sequence of 4, what happens, right? It will generate the 4-byte integer. It will generate the 2-byte integer. Sequence will generate 1-byte integer. Sequence 8 will generate
8-byte integer.
8-byte integer. That's the difference. Okay, it's not a version. Sequence 1-byte integer, 2-byte integer, 4-byte integer, and then 8-byte integer. 1 byte equal how many bits? 1 byte equal how many bits? Sujita Priya.
8 bits. 8 bits.
8 bits. Okay, but the sequence 4, it's a 4-byte integer. Now, how many bits will be there? Sequence 4 is 4-byte integer. Now, how many bits will be there?
32 bits.
30 bits it will be able to generate. Okay, but the value will be starting with 0. Value will be starting with 0. Now, what I'm going to do is just I'm going to open this documentation. Like it will go to the next page. Now we can see what the sequence 1, 2, 4, and 8. I already said, right? 1 byte, 2 byte, 4 byte, and 8 byte. It's going to return here monotonically increasing integers. Satish, if it is a monotonically means it will going to generate a sequence 1 by 1. It's going to increment sequence 1 by 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like this. It's going to return a sequence of monotonically increasing integers. Okay, now we're going to see these are the bytes: 1 byte, 2 byte, 4 byte, and 8 bytes. Now, already said, right? If your data should not have any gaps, your synthetic data should not have any gaps, which projection class will go for? There should not be any gaps. Which projection classes you will go for? You'll go for sequence, you'll go for uniform, you'll go for row number. Which one you'll go for? There should not be any gaps.
So sequence, sir.
Few minutes back, I said all these things to you. I'm asking without gap, you have to generate the data. You're saying it's a sequence. Which sequence you have to go for?
Row number.
We have to go for the row number. That's what I'm saying, right? Satesh, it's a gap-free sequence. If you need a gap-free sequence, you have to go for here. Row number windowing functions.
Row number.
You need to go for row number windowing functions. But we can't assure that there won't be any gap. But sequence functions, there are some gaps will be there. It produces a unique set of unique set of increasing integers, but does not necessarily produce a gap-free sequence. They're not assuring that. They're not ensuring that it won't produce a gap-free sequence. But the windowing function row number, we're going to generate a gap-free sequence. That's a difference between the row number and sequences. Now, what I'm going to do is, if you see, right, sequence 1 byte, 2 byte, 4 byte, and 8 byte. Okay. Now, if we are providing 0, right, what happened? The sequence will start with 0. Sequence will start with 0. Okay. That is the optional sign argument. Okay. If you want to start with 1, you can give 1. The sequence will start with 1 means you can give 1. From the 1, it will generate a sequence. Okay, if you want to start with 0, you can make it 0. The default value will be 0, or you can make it 1. It's up to you. Depends on the use case. Now, how they are achieving is, for the sequence, how many bytes they are using? For sequence, how many bytes are they using?
8, sir.
8 bytes they are using. They are using the sequence function select statement to generate synthetic data from, they are creating one virtual table. Satish, I asked this function to you. For creating virtual table, what do you have to use? Table function we have to use, and then you have to call the generator function. The generator function, what are 2 arguments I have to pass? In generator function, what are 2 arguments I have to pass?
Sir, row count.
And then?
Time limit, sir.
Time limit you have to pass, but both are time limit is optional only. Okay, row count also optional. Okay, now I'm using row count. I'm skipping the time limit. Row count, what I'm giving here?
5, sir.
5. Okay, that sequence 8 will start with 0. That I said, right, default value is 0. Now coming is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now 5 values got generated, right?
Yes,
now
sir.
5 values. If it comes to 0, it will 5. Okay, now I'm going to show the 2 byte and 1 byte. Okay, now what I'm doing is I'm writing on subquery here. Just look at the inner query. I'm using sequence to 0. It will start with
0, sir.
0. Sequence will start with
1, sir.
1. Now just I'm going to copy. I think it's hiding somewhere. Just will take in notepad. Now you can see. I'm don't look at select stuff from. Okay, subquery. Okay, sequence 2, sequence 1 from table. We are creating a virtual table. In that, I'm using generator function. The row count is, what's the row count now?
132, sir.
132. And then ordering by sequence of 2. Like what I'm doing is the sequence 2 number generating, right? Based on that, I'm ascending order. Okay, order by means there is no ascending. Defaultly doing the ascending order. And then I'm mentioning the limit. Okay, limit is going to be 7. Limit is going to 7. Offset value is 125. Offset 125 means it has to start from
125.
125. But you can have a question. Oh, why we already given 0 value, right? It has a 0 only. But based on the offset value only, what will happen? It will generate the sequence. Got it?
Yes, sir.
Now, you might have a question. What's the limit 7? It will generate only how many records?
7 records.
7 records. It will generate 7 records. It's giving like 125. See, 125, 123. First, you'll look at the sequence 2, 125, 126, 127, 128, 129, 130, 131. Now, you might have a question. Why it's coming negative numbers? Sequence 1 is how many bytes?
1 byte, sir.
1 byte. 1 byte means how many bits?
Sir, 8.
8 bits, right?
Yes, sir.
8 bits, but it's coming like once again, it's coming how many, 1 by 8 bits, right? Now, what I have to do, right? 2 to the power of 8. What's the value? 2 to the power of 8. 2 to the 4 to the 8, 16, 32, 64, 128. 128 is coming, right? Hey, just consider 0. I'm saying consider 0. Hey, I'm asking that 2 to the power of 0. Like this, I want to do the calculation. 2 to
Sir,
the power of...
256, sir.
See, 2 to the power of 0. Okay. And then consider 0 as well. 2 to the power of
Okay,
1.
sir.
2 to the power
128,
of
sir.
128 will come. Okay. But you're considering 0. 0 to 0 to
7, sir.
1, sir.
Who said 7? 0 to? Hey, though it's 2 power 8, what's the value? Though it's 2 power 8, what's the value I'm asking to you?
Sir, 128, sir.
128. Though you consider 0, what's the value? 0 to?
8, sir.
Hey, I'm asking basic math calculation, man. Though it's starting with
0
0, what's the end value now? 128 or
7,
127? Though you're starting 0, it's 128 or 127.
Sir, 127, sir.
Satish, this is a simple math calculation it is. I'm asking what is 2 power of 8, you're saying 128. What's the max value I'm asking? If you're considering 0, right, it should come with, what's the value it will come? 127. Now, though you are giving offset value 125, 128, 126, 127 is reached. After that, it has to go with the
Minus.
negative
Minus.
value. Minus 128, minus 127, minus 126, minus 125. See, guys, now, for 8 bits, the range will be 8 bits, the range will be 0 to 127 and minus 128 to minus 1.
127.
1. Satish, these things are, you can learn from the 6th standard computer science books.
Sorry, sir.
It's a 8 bits, 0 to 127 to minus 128 to minus 1. Okay, this is what the range is. Like 16 bits, you have to calculate like this. That's what I'm saying here. Now, what happened here is, it's though you're giving the offset 125, 120, 126, 127, it's reached, right? It has to go with the another negative values. Okay, minus 128, minus 127, minus 126, minus 125. That's what its values coming negative version. Okay, now sequence 2. How many bits? Sequence 2 is 2 bytes, right? How many bits? Sequence 2 is 2 bytes. How many bits?
So 16.
16 bits. Now, what's 2 to the power of 16? 2 to the power of 16. Take one calculator and put 2 to the power of 16. Everyone knows its value. 655. Just go and check.
655.
655. 36. This is the value. Okay, it starts with 65362 minus
65536.
36. For here, it will start with the 8 byte you said, right? Sorry, 8 bit you said, right? 127 to, I can mention here, minus 127. Here, 65362 minus 6536. That's why you are using sequence 2 here. Sequence 2, the offset value is 125, 120, 126, 127, 128. It's all are positive values. What's the maximum value we have?
65536.
36. For the 1 byte, what's the maximum value you have?
127, sir.
120. So that's why it stopped with the positive value and starting with the negative value, minus 128, minus 127, minus 126, then going to negative value. This is how they are doing this. This is a 2 byte, this is a 1 byte. Shuita Priya, he is answering for a long time, but from you are not getting any answers. The sequence tree is how many bytes? Sequence tree is how many bytes? Sequence tree is how many bytes?
0 bytes.
Sequence tree is how many bytes I'm asking? Sequence 2. Anyone? Chandamal? Sequence 2, how many bytes?
8, sir.
Sequence 2, how many bytes I'm asking? Sequence 2.
So 16.
16. Sequence 1?
8, sir.
8. Sequence 3?
32, sir.
Sequence 4?
32, sir.
Sequence 8? Sequence
64.
8. 64 bit. Okay. Sorry, 64 bytes. Sorry. Not bits, 64 bytes. Sorry. 8 byte, right? It's a 32 bit only. The 4 is 32 bit. And then it is 64 bit. Okay, 8 bytes, 4 bytes, 2 bytes, and 1 byte. Okay, 1 byte equal to 8 bit. And then though it's 8 byte, 8 into 8, 64 bits. Good. Now, what I want to show is just if you come here. Now, it's very simple, guys. I'm doing only one thing, generating the row count of 10. And then just I'm using uniform, right? I should not use uniform. Just once again. Instead of uniform. Okay. I'll go with the examples of sequence 1, sequence 2, sequence 4, and sequence 8. Now, this is the way you can generate synthetic data. You can set a limit and then you can generate the synthetic data. You're seeing, right? What are the data you're seeing, right? All are synthetic data. Now, the next one is, you might have a question where it will be helpful. Okay, if you want to create a primary key in your table, other than what you can do, you can use a generator function and then you can generate the primary key. And then you can generate some unique keys you can generate, combination unique keys you can generate. At that time, these functions will be very powerful, guys. You have to remember all these things. You have to remember all these things. I don't know why it's not copying for me. Yeah, just remove this table. Now it's very simple, guys. Like the row count is 132, but the offset value is 125. It will start with 125, and the limit is going to 7 for me. Though I given the initial sequence 0, it won't consider. It will take the offset value. If you are not giving the offset value, right, then we'll start from 0, 1. Okay, just we're going to show this difference. Now we can see, right? It's starting with 125. It's a 2 byte. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the offset. Now this I'm going to try. Now the value start from
Yes, sir. 0, sir.
0. Let's see. Now you're seeing, right? Starting 0. This offset value decide where you have to start. Where you have to start. Like you can give any limits. Okay, there's no any kind of hard rule. You can give any limits. Sorry, you can give any offset values, not limits. You can give any offset values. Query produce no result. I don't know why it is not producing any results. Okay. The row count is 132. Okay. Understood. Because I'm using sequence one, right? It's a 1 byte. It's 8 bits. The range will be 127 minus 127. That's why it's not giving the huge values. Now what I want to do is going to give like something like 200. Let's see. Now we can able to see. Why it's not giving 200 also? The limit is 200. What is the limit they're given here? Just once again. Limit 1. Just 1 second, guys. Yeah. Now the offset value, we are giving 200, right? Now what happened, right? Those sequence 1 is like, it will be 1 byte, totally 8 bits. Okay, the range will be 0 to 127 and to minus 127. Okay, now if you are giving 200, from 200 it has to start. But what's the maximum value for this? It will be 0 to 127. 127, not 128, 127. Okay, though you given 200, it can't be able to generate any results. What I have to do is I can keep this time 40. Okay, it will going to start from
40, sir.
40. And then limit is going to 7. Now it's going to generate 7 records for us. Now you can see, right, 40. Now if you look at here, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46. Here also same thing. Now we can't see the negative values because like once you crosses the 127, then negative value will be generated for sequence 1. And then for sequence 2, it's a 2 byte. Like 2 byte means how many bits? It's 16 bits. The value will be 65536, right? I think once again, guys, I'm not 2 power 16. What's the value? Just to go to the calculator, scientific calculator. 2 to the power of 16. Put xy. Where is xy here? Yeah, 2 to the power of 16. This much values. I think it's not 6. Yeah, 65536. From this is the positive value. Negative value will be minus 65536. Okay, good. This is how you can able to generate the synthetic data using generator function and then using sequence function, right? You can generate the unique value, but there will be some gaps. If you are generating huge data, right? I'm generating one less data. You can't see any gaps. But if you are generating huge data, then you can see the gaps. At the time, what we have to do? We have to go for row number. Okay, you can use the windowing functions. Just you can have the windowing functions. Row number function is there. Just use the row number function, and then you can generate the data. But if you use the row number, there won't be any gaps. Missing the windows. Just 1 second, guys. I want to give some limits. Let's see. I think row number is somewhat different, I think. Yeah, we'll apply it later. I think we have to pass some other arguments. Okay. As of now, we'll see the sequence 2 and sequence 1. The same thing you can do for sequence 4 and sequence 8. Okay, just you can make it 4. It's a 4 byte. It's going to be 8 byte. Though it having huge value. What is showing like empty SQL statement? What is the empty SQL statement is? Okay, now here I also have to change, right? Okay, good. Yeah. Now we can give some other offsets because those are 4 byte, 4 byte means 32 bits, 64 bits. Now we can give the offset value is 24,540, right? Why it's coming like this? 450. Just once again, 2540. Why it's not producing any results for me? Though I given like 4 byte and 8 byte. Okay, let's give a try for some 2000. Let's see, 200. Why it's not producing any results for me after sequence 4 and sequence 8? Just one second, guys. Okay. They are using the row number. Oh, okay. They're using the war class. Oh, I missed the war class right there. That's the issue. And then order by of sequence 4. Sequence 4. Order by of sequence 4. And then I use the generator function. The row count should be a 10. It will generate 10 records. Okay. But sequence 4 and sequence 8, why it's not generating the values for me? Now we'll give a try. I'm not giving any default value. Just give the offset values. Here also I can remove. The value I can give it 200. I don't know why it's not producing results, but it's producing for the 2 byte and 1 byte. For 8 byte, it's producing results, right? Like it's giving like 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. It has to produce. What mistake I did? Guys, if you look at here, right, we can able to generate the values. Okay, in the offline, I have just debugging the things. If sequence 4, I can able to generate like a 2 to the power of 32 values. Okay, now I can able to generate any values in sequence 4 as well as sequence 8 as well. Now, if you see, right, I can able to generate, you can see the graphs 65534. Okay, this much values I can able to generate using the 4 byte. Now I'm going to give the 8 byte, and then just I'm going to have like 855 some values. This much values I can able to generate using 8 bytes. See guys, how much time, like I'm not taking only less seconds, around 209 milliseconds. I'm generating this much amount of data, synthetic data, 85534. Okay, but whenever trying to give the offset, right, for a sequence 4 and sequence 8, I'm not able to get the data. Just I'm giving the offset value is 500. It has to start from it from the 500 value, but I'm not able to generate. Anyhow, I'll check and get back to you guys later. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is the next thing we're going to see. Okay, how to use the row number function. In the row number function, there won't be any gaps. There won't be any gaps will be there. Okay, you can see the data. They're generating only the row number 10. If you're generating for huge numbers, you can't see any gaps. That's why you're going for the row number. It's one of the windowing function. You have to use a class or class. In the order by, you have to use sequence 4. Sequence 4, what will do, right? We're going to generate sequence for the first 10 records. You can use 4 byte or 8 byte. You can use 2 byte, or you can use 1 byte as well. Though the record count is only 10 records, you can use sequence 1 as well. Now just copy this one. The reason we are generating this unique number is to create a primary key in your tables. That's the reason I'm showing all these things. In Snowflake, we have the generator function. You can generate the values. Now what I'm going to do is, just I'm going to use the sequence 8. And then using window functions, I'm going to generate the numbers. Now you can see, right? Okay, good. The next thing I want to show is some examples. What is meant by sequence for an uniform? Okay. Now the sequence for, I already said, right? It's going to generate sequence for 4 byte integer starting with 0. The same thing, we have one more projection class we have that is called uniform. It's going to generate the range between first parameter, second parameter. Satish, in the uniform, you have to give 2 parameters. Minimum value, maximum value. In the between the minimum and maximum value, it's going to generate the sequence for you. That's what I mentioned here is the 1, 10. 1, 10. Between the 1 and 10, you will get those values. But I given the random of 12. Okay, the random of 12, it's going to the optional parameter for you. It will generate the random. You can see, right? 7 is there, 2 is there. Okay, now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is there. Random of 12. It's a seed value. I'm saying, right? In the random, I'm passing 12. 12 as seed value. What will happen, right? It will generate some random numbers for you. That's why I'm using random. If you are not using a random, right, it will generate the values between 1 to 10. If you want to generate 50 to 100, you can put 50 and 100 you can give, and then you can generate some random values. The 12 is nothing but your seed value. You can see some consistent data. Okay, that's what I'm using seed value here. Now what I'm going to do is just I'm going to use a uniform. Uniform, you give the minimum value, maximum value you can give, but in sequence you can give only the optional parameter, the default parameter called 0 and 1. If you give 0, you start with 0. If you give 1, you'll start with 1. Now just copy this one. And then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate 50 to 80. Okay, the seed value can give any values. Okay, just I'm going to give 22. Now row count is 10. Generate function. Getting virtual table. And then order by 1. 1 means based on the sequence 4, it will do the ascending order. That's why giving order of 1. 1 means the first display column is there, right? Based on that, it will do the ascending order. Now you can see it's giving the values between 50 to 80. You're seeing, right? Are you seeing any values out of the range?
No, sir.
Less than 50 or greater than 80? No, right?
No, sir. It's within the range.
Yeah, that's a consistent value. You can see, right? 70, 78, 78, 76 is there. 77, 76. This is a consistent values. You can see, right? This is seed value again. 76. 76 coming again. Okay, this is what we can see seed values. You can use a random function. You can give any seed values. It will give a consistent value for you. Good. And then order 1 is based on sequence 4 values. It's doing the ascending order. Okay. Otherwise, you can keep designing also as well. Order 1 DSC. Now we'll come in the descending order. And hit the file query. Let's see. Come in the descending order. Okay. Now the next one is again they're using like uniform. 1, 10. Okay, between the between 1, 10 and then 42. Okay, now just once again, it's a similar to preceding function. Pass the color rather than function. Third parameter is uniform function. Output of the uniform function is same for every row. Same for every row. Okay, once again, guys, why it's the 42 here? Yeah, in generator function, they are not giving any values. That's why you are not getting any values here. Okay, in generator function, you have to specify some values, right? I'm not giving any values. The row count, I'm not giving any values. That's why I'm not able to generate any value here. And then if I want to find the count of sequence 4, right? How many values generating, right? For that, I can give the count of sequence 4. It will give the maximum value for you. It will give the maximum value for you because I didn't specify any 0 or 1 here. I'm finding a count. Okay, it will give the max value for this 4 bytes. And then next thing is I want to show here is the 42. Okay, now just we'll take this one. Instead of 42, I can give 32. Let's see the seed value, how whether it's generating the uniform value for everything. Now hit the fire query. Now it's even 10, right? Now let's give it some 22. Let's see the seed value. What is happening? I'm getting 6 here. See guys, in the uniform function, the third value will be a third parameter passing. That is nothing but a seed value. You can pass any values. The one thing is, if you're passing any value, right, it's going to give one value that will be uniform for all the records. Now I'm passing 200. Now if you fire the query, it's going to give some value between 1 to 10. It's giving 7. The 7 is constant for the every records. You can pass any values. 340, 349. For 349, it's going to give some values. It's a seed value. To maintain a same data for all the records, we use seed value. Okay, now you can pass 50. This is how it works. Ten, you can see, right? This is how you can able to generate the some values. But here it won't generate any records because in generator function, we are not passing any row count. That's why there's no records are there. And then if you want to find the count of sequence 4, the time limit I given here. I'm not giving any row count. Satish, I'm not giving any row count here. That
Yes, sir.
time limit given 10 seconds. 10 seconds, how many data it can able generate? That count I am displaying here. Okay, the alias is given V. Just now I can give like 35 seconds. Let's see. For 35 seconds, how much data it's generating? Just make it 30 seconds. Now find the count. Now it will run for around 30 seconds. The time limit is 30, right? After that, you'll find the count. Now you're seeing, right? How many huge values it got generated. How many seconds? Sendamal and Sujita Priya, how many seconds? 30?
30 seconds, sir.
30 seconds. These many values are got generated. Okay, now you have question. Okay, though I generate synthetic data, how to insert a table? Just to create table as you can insert the records into the table. Okay, this is how we can able to generate the records. This is only for the primary key generation. Mostly try to use a row count, a row number to generate the data without any gaps. Yeah, and tomorrow what we're going to see is we're going to see a few more data generation functions called random str, and then UUID string to generate the some strings, some sequence of strings we can able to generate in the UID strings. I'm going to close session right now.